whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're going to hurt some people.
Whose car are we going to take?
People, thank you for joining us on the Nikki Maduro Show. Myself and Kim McAllister. Kim McAllister,
hi,
who calls me yesterday. I'm sitting outside, as I often do during the week, outside my daughter's tutoring class. And Kim's like, I have to tell you this story. And I'm like, okay. God. And I'm like, and she tells me this story. And as she's telling it, my daughter's like coming out of tutoring. Like, so right like in the middle of your story, Kim, my daughter
so
Marley
sorry.
Gets in my No, it was funny. Like our family isn't as horrified about things like this, although Marley is just reading my face. And if you've ever been a parent hearing something on the phone that your kids cannot hear, it's hilarious. So this is me. Are you kidding? What the hell? And Marley's like looking at me like, oh, I can get off the phone. I need to know. Get off the phone. I need to know. Now, this is really it is sad. It's a tragic story. But it's one of those things where you don't want your kids to be involved in a news report. And your kids are kind of peripheral on this news report. But what happened yesterday?
Julia has had PE today. She managed to talk her way out of it. But so she didn't have PE yesterday, but yesterday at Petaluma High School, right about, I would say 10, 15 minutes before the end of school, there's a class in the gym, a PE class going on. And this lady, naked wanders, naked and blood covered, wanders into the gym. And the story goes, the original story.
This is the story that Kim is telling me when I'm like,
this is the story that the kids were passing around. She comes into the gym holding a knife and stabs herself in the gut, basically slices herself open and rubs her hand in the blood and then starts writing on the gym floor in her blood and goes down.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine that this is the story that your children are telling you?
And so we get the message from the school that says a member of the community has suffered a medical emergency in the gym. And if you could please stay away from the area, we have the police and the fire department on the way. Crazy. It turns out somebody saw her naked, bloody self walking down the street toward the high school and called 911. So the police were on the way before she even got into the gym.
Oh my God. Yeah. So she was at a home. She might have injured herself, like what? Like emptying leaving the window or something like this?
We find out that the police say it doesn't seem that she had a knife when she came into the gym. That she likely injured herself on broken ceramics or maybe climbing out of a broken window of a nearby home. And that's why she was bloodied. But she was making hearts out of her own blood on the outside of the school and on the gym floor.
Did she have a knife? I'm sorry, did you say? Did she have a knife?
Police say she was not with a weapon.
Okay, because that's important. Now, this is the part that like really got to me. Obviously, having a naked woman, let's take the blood and all that out of it. If a naked woman runs into the gym, it's just, especially a high school, it is chaos, right? Like there is no getting, that PE class is over.
So she's having some type of horrible mental emergency.
How do you
clearly
do
needs
that?
help, right?
Yeah.
So the police come, the paramedics come, they collect her, they take her away.
Yeah.
And in come the cleaning crew, to bleach the gym floor.
And this is, and I don't mean to be, laugh, but this is the funniest part, and I'm putting that in quotes, funny.
Well, hey, there's a badminton game that night, so they got to clean the gym.
Got to clean the gym.
I mean, the PE class is over. But here's why parents freaked out, because there was never a lockdown called.
Right.
So people are like, well, why wasn't there a lockdown called if a woman with a knife ran into the gym?
Thank you.
But I think you have to be there in order to really get it, because the woman took herself down. right? She's
Yeah.
down on the floor. She's not advancing towards students.
Right.
She's down, clearly having her own issues, writing on the floor in blood, right? And that's when they evacuate the gym. They tell her to leave. She doesn't. They get all the kids out of the gym. Before they do, everybody's got a phone, so
Yeah.
kids are filming it.
Snapchatting it all away. Can you imagine? I mean, Julie didn't get any of those videos, did she?
She said, I'm avoiding Snapchat for the next several days because I don't want to see
Yeah,
it. And
I
it's
wouldn't
being
wanna see
passed
it.
around. So there's pictures and Snapchat of it, apparently. Which I think they should get in trouble for that, the kids. Because you don't, gawk and
It
take
is
pictures
also
of that.
somebody that's naked. They shouldn't have naked pictures on their phone.
That's right.
I think that also the fact that the no lockdown is obviously we heard there was a knife, but there wasn't a knife. So now we're just dealing
Right.
with someone with a medical emergency,
Right.
emergency, and so that also factors in. Did the parents get any sort of notification, or did it just come through the students?
It was very quick from the school. Medical emergency in the gym. Please steer clear of it, the area. Then about an hour later, it was an update on the situation. There was a mental health crisis a member of the community was having, and the gym was evacuated, blah, blah, blah. Then later on, it was more details, and then we had the police report come through. So I don't know. The worst thing about it was, and Julia's like, I don't feel like I can go into the gym today. So my husband's like, I'll pick you up at 1. I'm like, really?
That's
They bleached the
for you.
floor. You didn't even get to see it.
Where he's like, suck it up, Buttercup.
Fuck up. Get into the gym. You're just trying to get out of PE. I know you.
I love
But
her.
the problem was my husband picked Julia up from school yesterday, and Jacob was already in the car. And so she gets in the car and she's like, everyone's saying there's a naked lady that sliced herself open. And then Jacob's got that in his visual in his
Of
mind,
course.
right?
Of
And so then
course.
he's asking questions like, was she an old lady or was she a young lady? Was she holding the knife? And how deeply did she stab herself open? And what happened?
And all the imagery and everything going through the poor kid's head.
He's then trying to complete the picture of it in his mind, right?
Oh, that's hilarious.
And
I mean,
he
it's
can't
not
stop
funny,
thinking
but
about it.
I
Poor
couldn't
kid.
stop thinking about it. I mean,
God.
and what's funny is, so obviously Marley knew about it, and so then we go out to dinner last night with my son and my husband, and I'm trying to keep it light because obviously I don't want to like traumatize my own children by something that they didn't even see. And I was like, oh, but Dylan, my son loves badminton, and I was like, but Dylan, I'm like, they couldn't do a lockdown because there was a badminton game. He's like, nothing could come in between the school and badminton. Now, again, I'm not trying to make light of it. Obviously, my heart goes out to this woman. I hope she's getting the mental health that she, that she needs. Obviously, John makes a comment. Sounds like something happens in Florida. That was my first kind of response when Kim was telling me this. I'm like, is this in Petaluma or is this in like a major
That's
city
what I
like
said.
Oakland or San
I
Francisco?
said, if you would have told me this, you saw this in New York, I would have believed you. What did
Julia
you bring
brought
the
it
crazy home with you? I don't know.
Exactly.
That poor woman. Whatever happened to her?
Yeah,
whatever she's going through. Oh, sorry, that's my fault. I did that.
But
Whatever
yeah,
happened to
it's
her?
just
That's
sad.
awful.
It's absolutely awful. And I'm glad that all the kids were safe. I'm glad that she wasn't armed because that was also the thing. It's like, how did nobody stop her from the house to the school? So I'm really glad.
So the school is very open. It's a very open campus.
I don't like that.
And that's one of the things that I think we were looking at was my husband was like, does this not tell them if this naked lady covered in blood, there's bloody footprints all the way down the street, right?
Yeah. Oh,
that
God.
she can walk into the gym. Anything could have happened. Silver lining, it was someone doing self-harm instead of somebody opening fire, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Because it could have been that.
But
right?
still, it shows how open campus is. And I mean, I'm trying to think of like my kid's school. You can leave, but you can't like the gates. You know what I mean? It's like kind of like you can leave.
You can check out anytime you
can't
like.
get in from
You
those.
can
gates
never
to the office.
leave.
Exactly, it's like Hotel California. Absolutely. Although after school and stuff like that, it's pretty open. Obviously for sports events and things like that. But yeah, it's really you're seeing your weak points at that school, and so maybe that needs to be fixed a little bit.
Well, and he's like, does it not show you that it's time for a resource officer, at least someone on patrol?
Something, but anyway, so our hearts go out to her, and I'm glad that they're, and I love your daughter milking it for all it's worth to not do PE today. I mean, you got to give it up to her.
I just can't go into the gym. I just can't. Like the blood's off the floor.
It's like, I love, and Kim has no heart about it.
Really?
She's like, nope, go to go to PE.
I mean, you can't go to the gym. You weren't even in the gym yesterday.
I know. She was traumatized by proxy. Okay, just stop.
They have counseling today. Go talk to a counselor and then get your ass to PE.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
Our hearts go out to Phineas as well. Day 2 of COVID. Quarantine alert.
Oh,
COVID's real, people.
no.
I know, Phineas. I'm so sorry. Thanks for quarantining with us, though. I hope we help the time pass a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, there's a local Bay Area news station, starts with a K, ends in a U, that, I mean, they were bare bones today. And I'm wondering, remember back in COVID where it's like there'd be like one person working on television because everyone was getting COVID. I'm not saying that that's what it is, but they had a person anchoring, major anchor, and doing traffic. So something's going on there. So our hearts go out to people at KTVU. Hopefully they don't have COVID, although it's going around. I mean, if it's not COVID, it's allergies. People are suffering, people. So Phineas, I hope you feel better much more quickly. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. We also are keeping our eye, of course, on the huge story yesterday, which is this 7.2 or 7.4. I guess there's a little discrepancy there. Magnitude earthquake in Taiwan. There was this tsunami warning. Obviously, when you have an earthquake that huge, dozens of miners are trapped underground following the strongest earthquake in Taiwan in 25 years. I'm going to show you a couple of videos. These were some of the videos, and I'm sure there's much more coming out today. But let me show you this one. And again, just look, and we're used to this, but this is like kind of a montage. This is like the initial shaking that you can see everything like kind of collapsing. Buildings were falling. Ooh. This is the image and picture that a lot of people are seeing. This building like stopped falling, which I found to be amazing. It's like glass covered and it just kind of fell like at the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Look at that. I mean, it's so sad. A huge, thankfully, I think they had like a 1 foot tsunami, they're calling it. The waves went up 1 feet, but nothing like what we, see in Thailand or things like that in the past. But devastating earthquake. So again, dozens of people are still trapped. Apparently, these people are trapped in tunnels along what is called the Suha Highway. It runs down the East Coast, and it's one of the most treacherous roads in Taiwan, famous both for its beautiful views of the Pacific Ocean and its danger, not least because of its landslides. Let's see. This road was cut through the mountainside, blasted through using literal dynamite and manual labor back in the 1930s. They don't know the condition, at least at last check, of these dozens of miners that are there. So 9 people at last check, and I'm getting this information from the BBC. 9 people have been confirmed to have died. At least 5 were killed by falling rocks. 127 people are known to be trapped, including 77 people inside these mountain tunnels. So it's just, and of course, every single time there's a massive earthquake, you always wonder about us, right? Mm-hmm. I was listening to the news this morning. They were saying the area where the earthquake hit, the land is very similar to LA. So that's just what we want to hear, right? That's just awful. Yep. And it's a good reminder, Dave says, to get those emergency kits in shape. That freeze-dried food is cheap right now. Yeah.
I just feel like, every time there's an earthquake like this, it's like you can see it happening here.
Oh, of course. I instantly get the image of Loma Prieta and all other kind of earthquakes that we have. I mean, Napa. I mean, even though Napa was what was Napa? Like a 6 something? What was the Napa earthquake? Do you remember?
I forget.
But that was a major earthquake.
I was sent to cover that story too.
Napa earthquake was what? 2015. That was a 6.0. Yeah, it was a 6.0. Again, it's just these things are going to happen. It's one of those not if but when sort of thing. So yeah, definitely get prepared, but it's going to take a while to obviously rebuild and get all those miners out in Taiwan. So our hearts and thoughts are with them as well. All right, let's do some other headlines. Click the thumbs up button, you guys, to show your support for the show. Our super chat is also live. You can send us a super comment, a super thanks, a super sticker. If you do it live on the air, we'll read it live on the air, of course. Please donate to our Patreon. We depend on our Patreon subscribers. Just go to thenikkimadoroshow.com. We also accept PayPal as well. The email address, if you want to send it through PayPal, is thenikkimadoroshow@gmail.com. I had yesterday for lunch, I did not eat the healthiest of lunches. I had chicken tenders, like frozen chicken tenders that I made in my air fryer. And I did it again. I mixed the guava, Auntie Tabby's guava barbecue sauce with the hibiscus hot sauce. Oh, it's so good. I keep mentioning it. It's because I need spice in my life, but I also wanted the dipping barbecue sauce kind of flavor. So again, Auntie Tabby's Island Flavors is our show sponsor. You get 10% off every single order every time you order. I should show you. I probably have a picture on my phone. The barbecue sauce and the hot sauce. The hot sauce is going down way more quickly than the barbecue sauce, but that's just me. So again, there are 3 different bottles that you can get. There's also a pack where you get like a sample pack where you can get all of them. Here they are though. The hibiscus hot sauce, the pineapple hot sauce, and then of course the guava barbecue sauce. So just go to auntietabbys.com/Nick Kim or Nikki M NIKKIM, and you'll get 10% off every single order, and it helps support this show as well. All right, let's take a look at some headlines with Kim.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
What story am I going to lead with? I don't know. I'm
hello?
deciding along with you.
Hello?
I don't know. Hello. It's time for news. Anybody home? Okay, let's start here. Federal prosecutors are disputing a request by the judge overseeing Donald Trump's classified documents case. The judge last month requested the prosecution and the defense propose jury instructions that would take into account Trump's argument that the classified documents recovered from his Florida home were his personal property under the Presidential Records Act. So in a filing yesterday, special counsel Jack Smith argued accepting that argument would be pure fiction and would distort the trial.
Oh, interesting.
What a mess.
I know.
A federal appeals court is hearing arguments over a controversial Texas immigration law today. This law would give the state the power to arrest migrants merely suspected, of crossing the border illegally.
And how would they determine that, Kim? Do you think it would be like a visual? I mean, do you think it would be a little darker skin color?
Do they have to see you crossing the border, or can they just see you walking down the street and you
exactly? Is it a show your papers type of thing? It's
Mhm.
ridiculous. Okay.
Well, the court last month continued a block on enforcing that law while litigation continues. But again, now a federal appeals court is hearing arguments. This law has gone back and forth. Should it be in place? Should it be not in place? Yeah.
So frustrating.
Colorado Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert is recovering from emergency surgery. She underwent this procedure after a blood clot was found in her leg. She'd been diagnosed with May-Thurner syndrome, a condition which disrupts blood flow. I don't want to be insensitive.
I knew you were going to do this.
But I wonder if she has a medical issue that is affecting the blood flow to her brain.
Yeah.
No, like seriously, could that affect you like that?
No.
Perhaps.
No. It's so funny. You and I are cut from the same cloth. So I'm reading this morning, right? I'm reading this news article, and I'm just telling myself, don't make nasty comments. Literally. And I'm by myself. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't wish any harm on anybody. But
I don't
exactly,
either.
It's like, maybe this is her problem. Like, maybe there's something wrong with
what
you.
I'm trying to say. Like, I actually
know.
legitimately am. I mean, yes, there's some laughter to it, but honestly, like, she's got a syndrome that affects the flow of blood in her body.
It's a rare syndrome too, right? It's not even that common. I've never even heard of May-Turner syndrome or whatever it is.
Right. I mean, I'm sad that something wrong happened and that she had to have surgery, and that's horrible. And
it's
thank
very
goodness
scary.
they found it.
You know, like one of those blood clots, they go to your brain. I mean, you're pretty much done, right? So it's really, it is scary. And again, I don't wish harm or death on anybody. I just want some people to not be like in my news feed or have any influence on my life anymore. I don't wish death on them though. So
I don't either, but I really do wonder, like, what are the other, I mean,
what are the other consequences of having this
right.
syndrome?
Like,
Yes.
is there a lack of blood flow to the brain? Could it affect your ability to think properly?
Be a human being, to have empathy, to not be a freaking
Just-
moron. I don't know.
I do wonder. I don't know. I mean, stranger things have happened.
Exactly.
Maybe this explains why. Hey, if there's a medical reason why you're all kinds of jacked up in your thinking,
Yeah, that's
Take
true.
the-
Maybe
take the
Trump
exit.
should be tested, you know?
maybe he has it too. Maybe it's going around.
Maybe it is.
Is that insensitive?
A little. It's okay.
My bad. I'm
You could
sorry.
do that here. My bad. I'm sorry.
Tornado watches are in effect for
Yes.
millions of people this morning as a storm system sweeps east out of the Ohio Valley. And most of those are in Georgia. Thousands are without power in Ohio and Michigan and Wisconsin, West Virginia, Kentucky. Several tornadoes were reported across that region, at least one death in Oklahoma.
Mm.
And this is a story that we've been covering here extensively on the Nikki Maduro Show.
Oh.
The parents of an Arizona teen gang member accused of murdering 16-year-old Preston Lord
Yes.
allegedly helped cover their son's tracks.
Oh,
That according
yeah.
to Fox 10 in Phoenix. The teenage
craziness.
gang is called the Gilbert Goons. They allegedly beat Lord to death Halloween weekend last year. Talon Renner is one of the 7 charged with Lord's murder, and his mother allegedly took her 16-year-old to a lawyer after the attack on Lord. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I have seen and obsessed with this because again, this happened in the hometown of my brother and sister-in-law. And my sister-in-law is obsessed with it. But it has all the makings of like a Dateline special. And I'm not making light because a kid lost his life, but that is one aspect. But then it's affluence, it's religion, it's trying to be above the law. It's a small town with cops, maybe being a little too close. There was, I think this was last month, there was an incident where a sheriff's deputy or officer or whatever actually gave the parents of the suspect kind of an escort to their car. That is not allowed so that they could avoid the press. It's dirty. It's just dirty. And everyone around it in this community is fed up with it.
There's a new plan to build more housing in California. Attorney General Rob Bonta is sponsoring a bill that would set clear standards for the types of projects allowed under the builder's remedy. That provision lets developers bypass local zoning and design restrictions in areas without state-approved housing plans, as long as they're adding a certain amount of affordable units. Bonta says updating this will ensure cities and counties continue to develop desperately needed housing and hold them accountable if they don't follow the rules.
Yeah, and we always get into this. Okay, so and I thought of you instantly when I was listening to this story because they're talking about every single city and town in California. Yes, that means all the hoity-toity, high in the hills, beachfront property type of places. Everywhere needs to build some affordable housing. And so every time people talk about this, I was talking about it with my in-laws and my parents at Easter. I'm like, listen, either be part of the development, right? The ideas, or you're not going to be, and they're going to do it anyway. Like the builder's remedy, that whole thing, that took people and all the nimbiness out of it. It's like, fine, if you don't build it, we'll decide where to build it. I would much rather be part of the process than to bitch about it when it gets built anyway. It's going to happen. It's like Huntington Beach. You're going to have to build more housing. You might fight it and all that sort of thing, but it's going to happen. And if you're part of the process, I feel like it can be aesthetically pleasing. We could talk about the right locations, all those sorts of things. But if you don't, if you keep fighting it and the time runs out, they'll decide. And so that's why I'm just like, stop your bitching and moaning. I understand that people don't like it, but be part of the process to decide where it goes. That's it. I mean, that's how I feel. I know people don't like it, but.
Walnut Creek, ready to quiet loud protesters near a Planned Parenthood facility.
Ooh.
Last night, the city council voted to ban the use of sound amplifiers within 100 feet of all entrances. You can't have your megaphones, your bullhorns, your whatnot, right? Workers were at the meeting to explain the noise can be heard inside the building, not to mention surrounding neighbors.
Yeah.
An ordinance that began 2 years ago requires protesters to stay 8 feet away. Now, no more bullhorns or microphones near the building.
Good.
No.
It's so annoying and harassing. Like, you have a voice, use it. You know what I mean? That's fine, but you don't need to amplify it.
A San Diego state legislator wants to toughen an existing law to help you protect your privacy on the internet. It's Assembly Bill 1979. Assemblymember Chris Ward says if passed, it would offer restitution for a social media trend called doxing. It's when someone takes your private data, like passwords, medical records, your address, your phone number, whatever, and publishes it in order to harass or extort something from you. Ward says, according to the Anti-Defamation League, those who experience severe online harassment like doxing, 65% of those cases were hate-based.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Nobody's doxing anyone they love. You know what I mean? It's like, no, it's harassment. It's, going to get back at people for either writing something they don't like or saying something they don't like. So, yeah, absolutely.
San Francisco International Airport is expanding service to Canada.
Oh.
The budget carrier Porter Airlines, I've never heard of it, began offering elevated economy flights to Toronto in January. And starting in June, they'll fly to Montreal 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. Return flights to SFO will be on Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday. And these planes, why it's interesting, the planes have no middle seats.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this.
Yeah.
That's right. So it's going to be everybody either gets an aisle or a window seat.
Right.
That's awesome.
So the planes have no middle seats. They come with free Wi-Fi, and they include free beer and wine.
Yeah, I like that. That's
I'm
cool.
like,
I mean, if there's a reason to go to Canada. it's
Suddenly
that.
a trip to Canada looks pretty nice.
Have you ever been to Canada?
I have been to Canada once when I was a little girl.
I don't think I've ever been. I mean, I think I've been close because my brother went to Seattle Pacific, and I know Canada is very, very close to there, but I never actually went. I've never been to Canada. It sounds lovely.
Yeah, I haven't been very far into Canada. My grandmother, my dad's mom, at the time lived in Washington State. So we went to visit her, and we took a little trip up into Canada. And it's funny, my husband grew up in Michigan, and the Canadian border is right there.
Yeah.
And it used to be not, when he was younger, not as heavily guarded. You just took a bridge, and at one end of the bridge was the U.S. and one end of the bridge was Canada. And if you weren't careful, you could end up in a different country,
Where's your papers?
Exactly. Mystery solved. A lot of pictures from this one. This is pretty cool. There's now an answer for anyone who saw strange lights streaking across the night skies in Southern and Central California early yesterday morning. It was first reported to be remnants of the SpaceX launch from Vandenberg Air Force Base a few hours earlier. A lot of people posted on social media these pictures suggesting a meteor, even a plane crash. Turns out it was China's space junk from a mission launched in 2022.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I know.
That's crazy. From 2022. Okay.
And there's streaks across the sky. Really kind of interesting
Or at
looking.
least that's what they're telling us to believe, Kim.
And
Truth is out there. Okay, go ahead.
as mentioned earlier, police are investigating after a nude, bleeding woman walked into the Petaluma High School gym.
Jesus.
Julia doesn't have PE today. It happened yesterday afternoon following a class held inside the gym. Witnesses report the woman had cut herself, some saying she also collapsed on the gym floor. School staff evacuated the gym, called 911 after this woman refused to leave. Police say that she was in the middle of a mental health crisis and is now hospitalized. Her injuries, which first responders say were self-inflicted, are not considered to be life-threatening.
Now, do we have an ID on this woman? Do we have an age? Do we have any sort of description on this woman? Was she old, young, middle?
No.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just a woman. We don't know.
Okay.
You have to fill in your own blanks.
I'm imagining Carrie from, yes, everyone was mentioning Carrie from the Stephen King movie, Sissy Spacek. So we're just all.
I'm imagining that I saw this lady.
Uh-huh.
There's a look to someone. God.
Hello,
So
Kim.
I'm driving to pick up my son at school, and I have to pass the bus station,
Okay.
which is this street in the middle of town that's got all it's really nice. We call it the human salad bar because it has all these, remember in Sizzler, the salad bar had the slanted glass.
Yeah, the sneeze guard. Yeah.
So it has all these stops that have slanted glass with people standing behind them, and it looks like a human salad bar. And so I see this woman, and she's walking down the street like she's just gotten off a bus, and she's clean, but she has a look about her as she's kind of mumbling to herself. She's got the look of a person that's standing on the street corner shouting at passersby.
Right. Okay.
Right? She's ruddy in appearance and just kind of, I don't know, looks like she's been on the streets for a really long time.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, it made me click lock. Click, lock. Nobody's getting in this car. And I'm thinking, okay, here you come. But it looks like, I thought, my first thought was, that was that lady. But it probably wasn't, so.
You don't know. Might have been. I mean, how many crazy ladies are there in the Petaluma?
Well,
you never know.
Apparently a few.
Apparently.
Maybe I count myself among them. I don't know.
Lick.
Did you hear? I mean, hey,
I would do
Right?
the same crap. I love automatic like locked doors, so you don't have to even make it obvious that you're locking the door. You're
Lock,
like,
click,
no.
lock. Sometimes you just want to verify it's locked. I once had someone try to open my door in San Francisco. So
Yes, mine too. I was a Prius, but my doors
Yeah.
lock automatically. Once you start going, I think over 20 miles per hour or a certain time of the car moving, it automatically locks the doors. So, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to sound insensitive, but you got to keep yourself safe. Click, clock. IKEA will be closing its order fulfillment warehouse in Napa County and cutting 147 jobs.
Why?
I wonder. The facility in American Canyon opened a little more than 6 years ago. 22 workers will be laid off starting June 1st, with the rest of the layoffs happening by the end of February 2025. IKEA says its decision is part of its long-term fulfillment strategy and to position itself for growth. Well, they opened an IKEA in San Francisco. We've got the one in Emeryville. There's one on the peninsula.
Right.
Do you have one in the South Bay or no?
Nope. The peninsula, pardon me. The peninsula one's the closest one, and I never go to it.
I didn't even know there was an IKEA fulfillment center in Napa. I thought the closest, I don't think you can go shop there. It's just the distribution place.
Yeah, it's probably so if you order online, it can get to you quickly. I'm not knocking IKEA, but the one time I seriously bought anything, I bought frames, and they're not in like normal American sizes.
Oh.
And so don't ever buy frames from IKEA. And yes, it's cheap. I guess, but like there's things like Wayfair, there's overstock.com. I just feel like there's so many places. I need to go into a place, and I don't think IKEA is that attractive. It's very basic looking stuff.
They had good kids stuff. They have a good kids section.
Okay, like furniture?
Or just stuff. Like I bought, and this is years ago before I was on my plastic kick, plastic plates, plastic cups.
Yeah. Camping
plastic
stuff too.
spoons
Those are
and
good
forks.
for camping and things like that. That's good. Yeah.
They
I can see
had
that.
all the plastic smocks, art smocks.
Okay.
They have all these art supplies. Like they have kids stuff that you wouldn't find anywhere else. I mean, now I look back on it and think, oh God, I fed my kids off these plastic plates and they were biting on plastic forks and
They lived. You'll be fine. It's fine.
Probably swimming with microplastics in their blood.
Already
Thanks,
are.
IKEA.
Remember, Julia said it's already in everything anyway. So.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. We have that horrible earthquake you mentioned in Taiwan, but there was a little one in the North Bay. It was a magnitude 3.0, and it rattled the city of Santa Rosa about 8:25 last night. It was 2.5 miles northeast of Santa Rosa, 5.5 miles deep. Originally, they thought it was a 3.2, but they downgraded it to a 3.0. So just a little one. Nobody hurt. Nothing.
That's a little burp.
Nothing to see here. Move along, right?
Exactly. A three. Come on. We don't even
I always wonder, though, if when earthquakes happen round about, similar day, similar time, is the earth connected? Like, is it, something happens to your foot, but you feel it in your knee?
Maybe.
Kind of thing. Like,
but we're constantly, the earth is constantly moving. It's just us, noticing it. I mean, if you look on the USGS website, there's earthquakes all around the planet all of the time. So
I know that's been disproven, but sometimes it just seems like a lot of earthquakes all at once. So I don't know.
And it's also we're thinking about it, so we're noticing it more and all that sort of thing. If you look for the yellow bug, you'll see the yellow bug, right? So
there's a bit of a backlash in Santa Cruz. Plans are in the works for a 16-story building in downtown Santa Cruz.
Okay.
It would be the tallest in the city and in Santa Cruz County.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right? And it would exceed the height limit by 10 stories. The developer reportedly asking for a state waiver. Officials point out this is all still in the early phase since only a pre-application has been submitted. The developer also turned in an alternative plan, which would be 8 stories tall and include 174 apartment units. It's almost like, did you turn in the 10 just so you could build the 8?
Right.
We know
smart.
you.
It's smart.
Right.
That is really go high, right? It's
Right.
like when you negotiate your salary, right? Like if you want $100,000 salary, ask for 150. Like 150. They're like, how about 100? Perfect. There you go. So again, and I know so many of you hate when I say it. We're full. We have to put up the no vacancy sign. It's going to happen. We need to build. Santa Cruz has a housing shortage. We have not been consistently building to keep up with our population for decades, people. This is just to kind of get us even close. And we're not even going to be close to the amount of housing that we need. I understand we need to build more reservoirs. We need more water storage. We need to do a lot of things. We need more infrastructure. We need to update our infrastructure. All of that is expensive, but we also need to get these freaking people off the street and into some housing. And I have no problem with apartment units. I swear, it's I understand. I hear myself before it comes out of my mouth. I'm like, they're not gonna like you for saying this. But who gives a crap about a building when people are sleeping on the sidewalk? Like, stop being so obsessed with this idyllic, and I know it's nice, single family, large lawn. People are sleeping in their own S. I want them housed. That is more important to me. Okay. I know that it brings traffic. I want people to be taken care of. I want people to have a roof over their heads. That is more important to me than the aesthetic of a neighborhood. I'm sorry. It's true. Yes, we need more water storage. Yes, we need to figure out something with PG&E. All of those I agree with you guys on. But I'm tired of seeing people living on the street. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people being one paycheck away from being homeless because rents are so high and housing prices are so high because we don't have enough of it. I'm tired of it. And so if I had to pick and choose between a big ass lawn and a mega mansion in a single family neighborhood and an apartment complex that can house families, I'm choosing the families. Sorry.
Even if it changes the whole look of a city. I mean, this is a 16-story building in Santa Cruz.
Nobody was bitching and moaning that San Francisco was changed when they put up the Salesforce Tower, right? Because it's a major city and they put up this huge Salesforce Tower that doesn't house anybody. Like, nobody cares in certain areas about the change in aesthetic. We gotta accept that change is going to happen. I mean, look at my city, my hometown of San Jose. I mean, do you hear me crying and moaning that the vineyards and the orchard trees and all that crap are gone? People love to bring it up, but we changed because people came and we have to house them. It just happens. We don't like change, and I get it. But again, be part of the design process. You can yell and you can scream, but ever since the builder's remedy became a reality in the state of California, you can either be part of the planning or it will happen anyway without your input. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's a little bit of honesty. Like, it's the brutal truth. It is going to happen anyway. If they say they're going to build something, it's going to get built. That thing in Santa Cruz, it's going to get built. It's just going to happen. So
it'll probably be the 8, not the 10. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go. And honestly, I can't imagine it's going to be ugly. It's still going to be a brand spanking new building. Nobody is like protesting it. I always bring it up, these mega mansions that take up the spot where 3 single family homes could fit, or like 2, you know what I mean? An apartment complex that can fit so many other people. Let's be more efficient with our building, especially because building in California is friggin' hard enough.
Have you been following this whole thing with the Disney Corporation?
And the Bob Iger thing?
Yeah. So the fate of Disney will be decided today. Disney shareholders are holding their annual meeting where a billionaire investor will look to shake things up. His name is Nelson Peltz, and a former Disney CFO as well, working with Nelson Peltz, wants shareholders to back them and oust 2 current board members. Peltz wants Disney's film division to refocus after some big-time box office flops and wants Disney Plus streaming to compete better with Netflix. Disney's chief, Bob Iger, opposing Peltz. So it's this takeover, right? They want Iger out. They're trying to take over the board. It's one of these, like, I don't know, what's the succession kind of,
right?
You know?
Yeah, it's they're trying to push him out. Now, it's Bob Iger we're talking about. He's not. This isn't his first rodeo, especially with this company. So yeah, that's going to be interesting to watch.
Crazy. One of the lastly, one of the oldest books in existence is going up for auction, and it's expected to fetch upwards of $3 million. Can you imagine for a?
What is that?
You can hardly see it. I'm sorry, it's a bad picture of it. But it's called the Crosby-Shoyan Codex. And it was written in Egypt between 250 and 350 AD. It was produced in one of the first Christian monasteries. The book is just over 100 pages. It's the earliest known text of 2 books of the Bible, Peter and Jonah. It'll be auctioned off this June in London. It is the Crosby-Shoyan Codex. It's probably going to get more than $3 million.
Wow. I mean,
isn't that wild?
Again, can I just say, like, Okay, there's this ad that's running on radio stations. You guys might have heard it about like big name celebrities passing down wealth, and they mentioned Beyonce and Jay-Z passing down art to their children, and you can get a portion of that and that sort of thing. That's what I instantly thought of when you started doing the story. It's like if you have $3 million, you're not displaying this. You're thinking this is going to be something that you're going to, I guess, pass down to your children. And I don't understand having that much wealth. Maybe if I hit the lottery tonight, if I remember to buy a ticket, I could even consider buying something like this. But God, I could do something so much more with that money than buy something like that. I'm just not
it's
into
the
art
oldest book in existence. There's a little bit of it. Yeah.
I guess. But then what do you do with it? You spent $3 million on it. You're not going to display it. You're going to hide it away somewhere, right?
Or you purchase it with the intent of showing it at a museum, maybe?
Oh, maybe giving it to a museum. That would be awesome.
I don't know. I mean, it's an important document. It's an important piece of world history.
Blue Spark says, trouble is it was checked out from the library 2,000 years ago and never returned. Buyers on the hook for 2 cents a day ever since.
That's so funny.
That's a big library fine.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Can you imagine first
that is
book
pretty
ever
cool,
written?
though. That is pretty cool. I will say it's cool. I had $3 million. I don't know if I'd pay $3 million, but I'd go see it at a museum. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know if you pass something like that down. I think that's a buy it and share it with the world thing, but maybe I'm a little being too...
I don't know. You don't watch enough Indiana Jones. People
Mary
just
Sunshine.
record all that stuff. Yeah, exactly.
I guess. Well, no $3 million here, but
Nope.
as you mentioned, there is the lottery tonight, so we can dream big. I have to see how much it is right now. It is still 1.09 billion for the Powerball drawing tonight.
Yeah, because people are going to snatch up the tickets, so the pot's going to go up. Am I going to remember? We'll see. I know somebody said last time I said that, I was like, if you have a problem. Oh, somebody made it in the comments after our show when we talked about it. They're like, it's kind of problematic if you can't remember to buy a lotto ticket. I'm like, good problematic or bad problematic? Because in all honesty, it's a long shot. I've actually made money if I don't.
I mean, you weren't going to win anyway, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's fun to play. So
It is fun to play.
I might remember. I might, the 67 million and the 23 million with Mega Million and Super Lotto respectively. I'll take that too. I would totally do that. I mean, I'd take $1 million. I'd take 1,000. I mean, come on, just give me free money. It's not free.
I was reading an article. I've never stopped to consider this, but I was reading an article yesterday about whether someone here who's here in an undocumented way, or a visitor, a foreigner,
and buys a ticket,
could win. I'm like, of course, anyone who buys a ticket could win.
Yeah, you could totally win.
Apparently, the rules are a little bit different if you're not an American citizen and you're here and you buy a ticket. Maybe you're traveling here, or maybe you live here and you're not documented, whatever. You have to pay higher taxes on that money. So it'll cost you an extra...
Dude, whatever.
On $1 billion, it'll cost you an extra 65 million. I mean, it's a significant amount of money.
That is significant, but still. I mean,
yeah.
we're talking about 1,000 millions. Yeah, 65 out of it. Okay, that's a significant chunk, but you're still very, very wealthy. Very, very wealthy indeed.
But I didn't realize that there was an extra tax.
That makes sense, though. It's kind of like the in-state or out-of-state fees you pay to go to college. It's like the lotto's the same way, so that makes sense.
1.09 billion. The estimated cash value, it says 527,000.
I'll take it.
No. 527,300,000. Sorry, the numbers are so big, my mind doesn't wrap around.
You're like, what is that? Can you imagine just opening up your checking account and seeing all those freaking zeros?
Crazy.
Oh, how good that must feel. Jesus.
Or how scary, too.
Nope, I won't be scared. Just put it right on me. I can handle it, Lord. Like, universe, whatever.
Luis is fueling my gambling addiction to the
Luis
Powerball
always
tickets.
does. All right, fine.
He's going to buy us some tickets. If we win, we got to take care of Luis.
Oh, duh.
Like, he's the first one in line.
There will be signs that we have won the lottery.
I'm like, Luis is going to all of a sudden be wearing gold chains and
exactly come into some cash. Absolutely. He also says, thank you for the $5 donation and another $5 donation, Luis. He says, I'll say it. I don't feel sorry for Bobo. Lauren Boebert. I mean, I'm so concerned for her. She should retire immediately. Exactly. I love that. Absolutely.
Ricky says, I love all those zeros.
I know,
Absolutely.
man. It's the only time I want to see zeros in my life.
Well, how about right now? Because this show's crowdfunded, which means
it is.
We do rely on you to help us fund the Nikki Maduro Show. Find us at thenikkimadoroshow.com. That's where the Patreon links and the PayPal links are. And they're also in the show description. But it's super easy on thenikkimadoroshow.com to find all the links you need to help us keep this show rocking and a-rolling. I'm Kim McAllister, and this is the Nikki Maduro Show.
And again, also support our sponsor, and it helps the show by going to antitabbies.com/NickKim, NikkKim. And I did have a couple comments. Ricky, remember he was talking about the pulled pork yesterday that he was going to make with the Anti-Tabbies guava barbecue? He said, oh my God, the guava barbecue sauce on the pulled pork was fantastic. A little heat, but a lot of flavor. Thank you.
I thought it wasn't hot.
I don't think it's hot at all, but
Okay.
apparently Ricky says little heat. There's
Okay.
no heat in it. I'm sorry, Ricky. There's no heat in it. But maybe it just doesn't work on my tongue. Natalie says, I definitely want to try the hibiscus hot sauce on a baked brie with puff pastry. That sounds bomb. So yeah, very, 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 very good ideas. Please support our sponsor, antitabbies.com/NikkIM or NikkKim, Nick Kim. All right, let's talk a little bit about religion, okay? So there are some New York inmates that are demanding to see the solar eclipse next Monday. 6 inmates are so eager, they're suing the prison, claiming the rare spectacle is a quote-unquote religious event that they should be allowed to see. The prisoners are at Woodbourne Correctional Facility, and they argue that the phenomenon should warrant gathering, celebration, worship, and prayer. The men include a Baptist, a Muslim, a Seventh-day Adventist, and 2 practitioners of Santeria, and even one atheist. They've all expressed a sincerely held religious belief that the solar eclipse is a religious event that they must witness and reflect on to observe their faiths. What do you think about that? I mean, I think that they should let him out. Although I can also see it being in a movie where they're going to do a breakout. Anyone ever see, what was the movie? Dolores Claiborne. It was with Dolores Claiborne. She murdered her husband during the solar eclipse. Anybody see it? Great movie. It's always one of those things like it's twilight. People's eyes are up, so they're not looking at what's happening down on the ground. So I can kind of see, the prison being like, what's going on here? Now, Ricky says you've lost your rights to travel. I believe they're in the path. I think they're in the path. I'm just double checking because I know it's moving from Texas and then up to the Northeast. So possibly. Oh, actually, no, it's not near the zone of totality, but many maximum and minimum security prisons are, including Attica. Now, of course, you can go see it and not see it in its totality. So I would say if you want to go and see a partial solar eclipse, go out into the yard. It's what, a half an hour at the most?
I think that's dumb. Listen,
you don't think they're going to get it? No.
If I commit a crime and I'm in jail and I'm separated from my family,
yes,
I don't get to go home for Christmas. I don't get to do the Easter egg hunt.
All right.
This is about as religious as I get. I don't get to do these things on these religious holidays with my family. They're going to have Christmas without me. Why? Because my butt's in jail.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? I'm paying the price. And so I don't think that you can say, oh, well, it's the same thing as if I say, oh, well, my religion requires that I be home on Christmas Day. No, it doesn't.
Right.
No.
Well, what about observing it, though?
Your religion's going to go on without you. Sit in your jail cell, try to crack a little peek out the window and see if you can catch it and give thanks to whatever God you believe in.
Yeah.
But you don't get special treatment just because if the jail can make accommodations for your food needs, like maybe your religion comes with a certain set of food restrictions, right?
Right.
You can't eat hooved items, whatever it is. Then that makes sense to me. Then we try to make accommodations so that you can live your life in jail or out of it. But you don't get to have special accommodations and get to go see things because it's part of your religion. Sorry, you gave up that right. when you broke the law.
Yeah, exactly. Well, apparently they're reviewing the request for religious accommodations are under consideration, and the eclipse related requests were under review. The department's acting commissioner said solar eclipse safety glasses will be given to staff and inmates who can view the astronomical event, which isn't expected to happen again until 2044. There will be no outdoor recreational activities permitted between 2 and 5 during the period of the eclipse. They're not near the zone of totality. But we'll see. I mean, I guess these inmates I guess they don't fall under the umbrella of being allowed to be outside during this time. I don't know, but I thought it was hilarious. Calvin says, my religion requires me to see Taylor Swift in concert, front row center seats. Exactly. I mean, on one hand, I feel like if they could keep it safe and if they're allowed to be out in the yard, why not? Right? I mean, we don't, but if you're not allowed to be outside, then you're not allowed to be outside. How about that? Mama, 3 boys. My religion also demands you to follow the law. Just saying. Absolutely. Okay. So that's a lighter kind of religious story. And I think it was you, Calvin, or maybe it was you, Phineas, that had sent me this story. We talked about this story. I remember when it was first kind of happening. I want to say last year it was really getting a lot of headlines, but now there's a lot of reflection and a lot of promotion happening. And this is for this academy called Lifewise Academy, which is permitted. It is not violating the law to bring Bible study to the public school day. I'm going to play you a little bit of this news report. As you watch it, I want you to remember this is allowed to be done. But is it problematic to you, even though it is legal for it to happen?
Inmates head to the library. This group of Whitehall School District students in Ohio put on matching shirts, board a bus, and head half a mile down the road to church. There, elementary students like Emmanuel and Savannah Brady pray
Amen.
And study scripture.
He approached the Philistine.
This is Lifewise Academy, a nonprofit bringing the Bible back into the public school day.
The learning really helps you learn about Jesus and what happened in the past.
How popular would you say it is at school?
Mainly, like, the whole class is, like, over at Lifewise.
Lifewise started in 2018 with 2 schools. Today, it partners with more than 300 schools in a dozen states. It's funded by private donations, and it's legal, so long as it's optional, off-campus, and not during essential classes like math. Though to some, it represents an increasingly blurry line between the separation of church and state. Doug Shoemaker, a Whitehall administrator, says the district has allowed this kind of program for decades.
We neither discourage participation or reward or encourage it.
Dad Daryl Brady says Lifewise lessons positively motivate Emmanuel and Savannah.
Do you think church has a place in school?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to bring churches back into schools for a long time.
Some of these sessions take place when library periods would be happening in school.
Mm-hmm.
Are you worried about your kids missing out on that experience?
Not at all. I mean, there's 39 books in the Old Testament and 27 books in the New Testament.
Founder Joel Penton says he saw a growing need, including those unable to afford private Christian schools.
In this area, about 50% of the students take part in Lifewise. What do you think that means for the other 50%? Do you think they feel left out?
I wouldn't characterize it that way. Kids go in different directions all the time. On the playground, some kids play kickball, other kids will go to the monkey bars.
This is a little different because these kids are going to physically be gone.
Sure. I mean, hopefully Lifewise is an attractive thing that people will want to participate in, but we certainly don't ever want to put any undue pressure.
But Ohio mom Sarah Myers says that Lifewise does exert pressure.
And I want to pause it right here just to say, pay attention to this woman, because if you think it's just like, oh, people that don't support a religion or atheists don't like this idea, listen to what this woman says.
She's a Christian with a daughter in a school partnering with them.
No,
she won't ever let her take part, though.
Yes. It is all above board until it's not.
Yep.
No school staff person does anything until they do.
Chapters promised ice cream or popcorn parties if kids got their friends to sign up. Another Ohio mom sent NBC News this note her child received from a classmate on Lifewise letterhead, pre-written to say, "My favorite part of class is," the classmate writing everything and inviting the child to join Lifewise. Lifewise told NBC News that, like many youth groups, they offer incentives for students and families to learn more, and that they are no different from other organizations that advocate for the policies they believe in.
What do you think Lifewise is trying to do?
Influence, slant, if you will, public schools.
Joel says he pays little attention to critics.
In the United States, there are 13,000 public school districts. There are 50 million public school students.
And he hopes to make biblical lessons available to every one of them.
All right. So what do you think? Now, again, this is above board. It's legal. It's not funded by the school. It's not taking any funds away from public education. This is optional. Parents are signing up their kids for this. Mindy says, no, keep your religion to yourselves. Other people have their own idea of what they want. If you had if you believed in a religion, whatever religion you're choosing, this, of course, is Christianity. Yet you couldn't afford a private education to bring that religious education to your child. And your school was offering this, and I'm comparing it to possibly something like an elective, right? Like, so if you do, I'm not like painting and religious studies are the same thing, but it's part of the school day. Not everybody needs to take part of it. Is there something specifically wrong with that?
This is all kinds of BS. This is not right. It should be outlawed. It should be illegal. They're tricking people into this. This is horrible.
Well,
you see, they're trying to proselytize and get the kids to come over there so they can then fill their brain full of mush. Are you kidding me right now?
Well, that's the part that bothers me. It's the come, you can have ice cream. What kid's not going to want to have ice cream? What kid's not going to want to hop on a bus and leave school like a field trip?
My kid would be like, Mommy, I really want to go. And then I'm the bad guy for saying no.
That's the problem I have with it.
And what if it was not Christianity that they were preaching? Right. What if it was the Muslim religion?
Right.
Then there would be an outrage. Oh, this can't be part of our school system.
You're indoctrinating our children, right?
Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
At school recently, a little girl, right before Easter, tried to tell Jacob the story of the crucifixion. Now, we're not religious, right? So my kids are woefully unprepared for a discussion like this, that he doesn't even know the story, right?
Oh, okay.
So this is not a good scene. So he comes home asking questions about, Jesus and dying and being crucified and bloody on the cross and like very graphic details. Mm-hmm. And my husband's like, there's a kid proselytizing at school. And Jacob's like, no, she just told me the story. That's one kid. Imagine if it was a group of grown-ups trying to teach all these things to my child. No, there's a reason we don't send him to Holy Roller School. Mm-hmm. I would be outraged. This is not cool.
Now, again, I just want to reiterate, it's legal though. So, but I loved how that woman, who again is Christian, said, she's like, it's above board until it's not, right? They haven't done anything wrong until they do. Now, again, we can't accuse people of violating the law if they haven't. We can't. And also, this is how I feel. As someone who went to a religious school my entire life until college, I don't know any different, right? I don't know any different, unfortunately. And I will say, unfortunately, I can't afford to send my kid to any school that they want to. I can't afford to send my kid to private school, let alone a Catholic institution. I instill the religion and the morals of whatever I want to on my own time. That's what I think that these parents also need to do. There's nothing stopping you from taking your kid to Sunday school, right? You go to class or you go to mass and your kid, I don't know what it is in every other church, but the group of kids, they're brought to the front, they're taken into like a different room during mass and they learn their Bible stories. Why can't that happen? Why does it have to happen during the school day? And the only thing I could think of is because they want to draw other people into it. If it's parents that are already religious doing it, fine. But if you're trying to convince other people and using your kids to do that as well, they're going to go on the playground. They're going to be talking about, they're going to say, look, I had ice cream and I had popcorn and I got to watch this movie. Yeah, it was VeggieTales or something like that, but I got to do all these sorts of things. Don't you want to come with me? Don't you want to come and have all of these things? And again, I'm not against it because I was raised in a Catholic upbringing. So I don't know any different. But if I'm like Kim, who's like, I don't want that in my school. It's going to influence these kids. And so they're not free and there's not a clear separation from it. Yeah. And everyone keeps bringing up like the Satan, the Church of Satan and whatever. And Kim brought up, Muslim education. Exactly. If you're going to do it for one, do it for all. Set out to all these parents, hey, if you do participate in a religion, do you want to work with an organization that can every day get a bus with popcorn and ice cream and bring your children? Make it actually
really,
fair.
That's the price of admission to the Christian religion, popcorn and ice cream.
Well, that's
and then they get a hold of your kid and they're like, let me tell you, all the stories are true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, again, it's Mara says we went to catechism before our preschool. We learned it all. Yeah. It's Doug says my mom made us go to Baptist Sunday school. We did, however, say the Pledge of Allegiance in elementary public school.
Mm-hmm.
Mama Three Boys, when my son was in preschool, their music teacher was teaching them yoga and about their aura and energies. Even as a progressive Catholic, it made me extremely uncomfortable. Interesting. That's interesting, Mama Three Boys. Can you elaborate on that?
I wouldn't have thought of that as religious. I would have thought, she's a bit of a hippie crackpot, but that doesn't really indoctrinate anyone to anything.
No, but obviously, like the yoga,
I guess that's
all
true.
sorts of things people equate to a religion. Christianity and Catholicism is one of the major religions in this world, and with it comes baggage for some people, right? It doesn't for me. But it does for a lot of people. And and we need to respect that.
Did the guy in the video that the woman was interviewing, did he give you kind of a creep vibe?
I knew you were going to say that.
He totally gave me a creep vibe. I'd be like, there's no way I'm sending my kid to that guy. Are you kidding me?
I am glad you brought that up because I also think that there is this elephant in the room that people aren't talking about. It is this undermining. The Catholic Church has violated the trust of so many people with the child abuse scandal, the fact that they hid it and kept it under the rug, swept it under the rug for so long. It's horrific that you can't ignore that. And so there are parents that have no religious background that are seeing a Catholic or Christian organization come to their school and be like, why do you want my kid? Why do you want to take my kid on a bus to another location every day during the school day? No, I don't want that. And so it's hard.
I can imagine teachers might be like, oh, I get a break, for this hour a day or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Or there's some type of content that I don't have to fill. There's a lesson plan that I don't have to do. It makes things easier.
Right.
For their work day.
Now, what if Natalie brings up a good point? Oh, so, hold on 1 second. So Natalie says, so now they don't fund the library program because only half the kids attend. Would you feel differently? Okay, what if there was a requirement by Lifewise or some other organization that if you want to come on this school, and it's an optional thing, you have to fund a program, a non-denominational program, elective, whatever, for the students that stay behind?
I still don't think it should be legal. I don't know how it's legal. I don't know how that's legal
because it's optional. It's not using public funds and it's not on the school grounds.
It's during school hours and you have to have so many hours of education, right? You have to have
It doesn't take away any of the core classes though. The core classes is met.
Right, but you still have to have so many hours of school. And so if they're taking away hours of school with this whatever, that shouldn't be allowed. That should not be. I just feel like there's getting around some legal issue that shouldn't be able to be gotten around.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. I agree with you. I don't think that, or I think this blurs the line too much, or it at least starts blurring the line. And I keep imagining people like, okay, so this is the Catholic guilt in me, right? I have the Catholic side of me. It's like, oh my God, who cares? It's good for the kids. This is what's wrong with schools all the time. They need to bring, moral code into the school, right? And then there's the other part of me that's sane and an American and says, look, if you want to have religious freedom, then have actual religious freedom.
Here's your religious freedom.
Right.
Vilma says, keep religion before or after school.
Yes, exactly.
Not every family has the same beliefs as a Catholic. And Vilma's pretty Catholic. She says, I would not send my kids to this program.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, there was this a group, I think called New Life or some life thing.
Right.
And there were a lot of kids that were involved in this. And it was the, Christian Life program for a church in the Santa Cruz area. And they met after school. They had all these fun events. They invited people to come along, whatever. Fine. It's after school. Was it uncomfortable that it was affiliated with school? Yes. But it's after school.
Yeah.
But don't do it during school hours. That's not education. That's indoctrination.
All right.
They're indoctrinating kids into a religion, and they're doing it by luring them with popcorn and ice cream like a molester in a car.
Yeah.
It's gross. That's gross.
Brian says religion should be kept for a family expression, not publicly funded school. And that's the thing. It's if religion is very important to you, you introduce it into your family's life with school or without school, right? And I'm going to call it an excuse. This excuse that families can't afford religious education ignores the fact that you can go get your religious education every Sunday at church, if that's what you choose, or whatever day your religion happens to worship. And that's where I kind of fall on this. The Lady Beatrice says, I saw an article about how there's a decreasing number of people claiming religious affiliation, and it scares me. What's being done about this? Nothing. It scares you that people don't participate in organized religion. I'm assuming that's your question, Lady Beatrice. I think it's because, and again, because the Christian Catholic religion is one of the largest religions in the world. I do think it has to do with the fact that religion has gotten politicized. I think the child abuse scandal. I think there's a myriad of reasons why people are moving away from being religious and pushing towards. It used to be the joke, like, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual, right? Like the hippy dippy type of people that you kind of imagine, but I think there's a truth there. It's like, I want to have a relationship, let's say, with a God or Allah or a higher power or whatever you want to call it. But I don't like being told, I have to believe a certain thing, hate a certain person, those sorts of things. I think that's what people are pushing away from. I know that's what I've pushed away from. Like, I believe in God. I was raised Catholic. I believe in God. I like the rites and rituals of how I choose to worship. But there is no way in HE double hockey sticks that organized religion of human beings that are fallible are going to tell me to hate my neighbor because they told me to. That's not happening. So if that makes me a bad Catholic or a lapsed Catholic or whatever label you want to put on it, fine. But I feel good about myself, right? And I'm not going to hate people or think that they're sinners or tell them that they're going to hell or doing any of that BS nonsense just so I can be a good Catholic. It's not going to happen. So I don't participate in organized religion because of that. So I think that's why it's happening.
I fundamentally disagree that in order to be a good person, you have to have religion.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah, you don't have to.
I mean, I can raise my kids to be, we don't hurt people. We don't say bad things about people.
Right.
We're kind when to others in the world. We're kind to animals. We're kind to creatures, whatever. I can raise them to be good people with good morals, and I don't need the 10 Commandments to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't. I mean, I always say, when you're doing good because you feel good, right?
Yeah.
Like, when you're doing bad because you feel bad. Now, whether you think that that's God talking to you or just being a good person, it's part and parcel of the same thing. Just do good to people, right?
Very true.
Eric says people are scared away from religion because all they're seeing on TV are the extremists. That's another great point. My old roommate, I have actually 2 roommates that are extremely Catholic, like organized religion Catholic, both of my former roommates. And one of them very much more liberal than the other. One's conservative, one's liberal. And extremely on both ends. And yet they're both Catholic. They're both Catholic. They both worship the same way, go to church all of the time, baptized, first communion, confirmation, everything.
Wow.
But their politics are totally different. But they're, you know what I mean? So it's not as if, oh my God, there's a spider on my wall in front of me and it's making me scared. Hold on.
Oh, are you home alone?
Yes.
How big is it?
It's like, oh, fuck. Sorry.
Oh. This is something I would do. I would do some news, but this is way too entertaining. Honestly.
I know. Hold on.
Oh, this is some good times right here. I really love it. Was it a big spider? Like
it was big enough. Oh my God, my heart is just...
Did you kill it or just knock it on the floor and now it's crawling up your leg?
I killed it. But now I've got this stain on my freaking wall. Oh, I'm so sorry.
Now your wall is full of spider cream. No, that was great. I mean, I enjoyed that very much.
It's like it knew I was talking about it, and it kind of like, sorry, just a little inside baseball. So I have like these cushions to try and like stop the echo because I'm right up against the wall. And like the minute I talked about it, it kind of jumped onto the cushions, and I was like, no. I'm so sorry.
This is much more exciting.
That's the Jesus out of me. Oh my God.
OCB says it was a fuck spider. Yes, it was indeed. Don't worry about it. We all enjoyed that, I think, so much.
I'm so sorry.
Marilyn can't stop laughing.
That was so frightening. That was so frightening. My heart is beating out of my chest. Sorry.
Louise says, can't get that into entertainment gold on KGO. Absolutely not. Oh, Mindy's all for the poor spider.
Oh, I know. Sorry, it was dying. You came into. I tell insects, rodents, you can live your life. Just don't cross my path. I am so sorry. It was
Mary said it was a sign from the Lord.
Or the devil. I freaking have no idea. I am so sorry. That was just like it. Just.
It's a sign. That's like I don't understand being afraid of bugs.
I know. Okay, like.
Spider cream.
Know, like we
That's
totally
what's left behind when you kill the spider on the wall and then you have to clean it up.
Yeah, and you know what is unfortunate is that my rental house that I live in, they put flat paint everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not coming off easy. So unfortunately, I am so sorry. Like we were having a really good conversation, but that was I will give a room to a spider. I'm sorry. Like
yeah, no, I will too.
If there's a spider in it, I had to kill it because I'm on air and I can't live with it. I can't do it. Sorry.
If I see one that is on the wall and I'm about to go to sleep, I'm out. Until it's gone. I can't go to sleep with a spider crawling overhead. No.
Oh my God. Sorry.
You okay? You all right?
Yes, I did it.
We had to watch that back. That's actually really funny.
Oh my God. That was just so scary. Okay.
I knew when you said the F word, we're in trouble. I'm like, oh, we've crossed a line now. Mm-hmm. Kathleen says, oh no, it's just other bugs. Yeah, Kathleen says, you're the most dangerous creature in the room.
I know. And I always tell myself, I'm like, do you know how I look to a spider or even to a rat or a mouse? I don't care. They scare me. Like, I don't want it near me.
Ryan says, you woke the hell out of him.
I'm sorry.
I was like, what a moment. Yeah, that was good.
It just came into my purview and the devil sent you that. Or God did is like, stop blaspheming me. Every large spider in my house is named Cotton Eye Joe because all I want to know is where did he come from? Where did he go? Where did he come from? Cotton Eye Joe. Yeah, exactly. I know where it is and its guts are right there. I was kind of hoping he would have like gone on the paper so I could have showed you how big he was. But he's about that big. I know it's not that big, but it was big to me and it looked really, really scary. Sorry. sorry. Okay.
Oh, that's so funny.
I think that our topic is over now. I've totally ended it with my spider.
Yeah.
This
religion plus schools equals bad.
Exactly. There you go. Okay, let's end it on that note. Okay, let's do a few more headlines and then we're gonna end. Oh, hold on. I wanted to do one more story. Before we do headlines, can we do one more story? And it's a quick one because I don't really feel like any of it. Oh, I don't know if we're going to disagree on this, but I read this article. Okay, so you guys know that I'm a huge proponent of teachers. I'm in the process of becoming a substitute teacher. We talk about how much teachers are underpaid, all those sorts of things. Now you come, dog. Where were you when the spider was here? Anyways, so one of the arguments we often hear when people are underpaid, right, but other people are highly paid, is, well, we have to pay superintendents, we have to pay deans these high salaries to attract the talent, right? That's constantly what we're hearing. We have to pay these really high salaries because if we don't, we won't be competitive, blah, 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 blah. I did not realize that highly paid district administrators in many school districts across California get something called Me Too raises. Okay. Now, what a Me Too raise is, if teachers walk the picket lines for days or weeks on end, for, let's say, a 10% raise. I'm just using round numbers. And they get it. The highly paid administrator also gets the same amount.
What?
Also gets the same amount. It's in the clause of their contracts of these Me Too raises. And just to put a fine point on it, for instance, this article is in the Pleasanton is talking about the Pleasanton Unified School District. Okay, and they're not the only district that does these Me Too raises. But the superintendent makes $360,000 a year. And this teacher who averages, I'm just going to say $80,000 to $100,000 a year. They get a 10% raise. That superintendent that already makes $360,000 also gets a bump up in their pay. And then we hear this BS, in my opinion. There's not enough money to pay teachers more. We just don't have it in our budget. Well, how about you stop doing the Me Too raises?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
The California Department of Education placed the average salary of a public school teacher, now this is average for the 21-22 school year, at about $88,000 a year. The highest paid teacher on Pleasanton Unified salary schedule, 20 years of experience, 75 additional education credits, had a salary of about $123,000. But their highest paid superintendent, the superintendent makes $360,000 a year. You think they need a $36,000 raise? You think they need a $36,000 raise to be competitive? This is what needs to change. Now, the California Teachers Association explained that teachers' unions cannot negotiate conditions in other employee contracts or remove the Me Too clause from administrator contracts, but those employees can alter their own contract to take it out. And that's what happened. I'm going to give a shout out to Superintendent John Malloy. John Malloy. Big shout out to John Malloy. Thank you. John Malloy. I don't know why I couldn't pronounce his name. He renegotiated his contract in October to remove the Me Too clause on his own. He lowered his annual raise from 5% to 3%. He revised his contract. His revised contract also specified that if the district's other bargaining units, classified and certified staff, were to receive less than a 3% salary increase, Malloy would receive the same level as teachers and staff. He said every time we got a salary increase, they got it as well, even when it doubled their salary. That's the person from the San Ramon Valley Educators Association. It speaks volumes to the morale of our educators when your leader says, I value you enough to ensure that my salary, my compensation is never increased more than yours. I don't know. I feel like we just screw teachers left and right in this state and country. I mean, but I'm just going to talk about California. But if you're working as a union to get a raise and they're like, well, our budget can only give you, I want 10, but we can only give you 5.
Right.
Well, they're also factoring in the fact that they have to give these freaking highly paid administrators the bump as well. No wonder there's no money for it.
That's right.
It's just absolutely ridiculous.
Why do they have to maintain this separation of salary where I must make, more, so much more, a certain percentage more than the people I oversee?
Right. It doesn't make any sense. It's, I know they're not, CPAs or anything, but what's their fiduciary duty to these, these workers that are on the front lines? I just feel like teachers should be one of the highest paid jobs across the board. They teach everybody else. They create all of these geniuses, and the next, big idea starts in school. Pay these friggin' people what they deserve. So I just wanted to add that. I was so outraged by it. I'd never heard of the Me Too clause. And so now every time I watch teachers walk the picket lines talking about raises, that's going to be my first question too. Oh, is it because the administrator who makes $300,000 a year also needs the bump in pay? That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And you're right, Sandy, teachers are terribly underpaid. Ren says, I always think of the Me Too raise is to prevent the superintendent from getting larger percentage raises a la CEOs. I don't know. I feel like they should negotiate their own contract. When you get hired, you're a superintendent. That's your salary.
Yeah.
It should never be tied to what these hardworking men and women get at all. Okay, let's do some headlines. And then we're going to talk a little bit Oakland A's, a little bit of sports news coming up. Click that thumbs up button to show your support for the show. We love it. YouTube loves it as well. Here's Kim with some headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Maduro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
The devastating magnitude 7.4 earthquake in Taiwan has claimed about a dozen lives and left well over 900 people injured. There are fears the death toll may rise as dozens of people remain trapped in highway tunnels, as you mentioned earlier, Nikki, following the strongest earthquake to hit that island in 25 years. In addition, rescuers are making efforts to reach anyone who may still be inside severely damaged or collapsed buildings there as well. President Biden is laying out his efforts to lower healthcare costs for Americans. During a White House event today alongside Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, President Biden said seniors on Medicare will not have to pay more than $2,000 per year for prescription drugs starting next year under the Inflation Reduction Act. He also celebrated the decision by 3 of the 4 largest inhaler manufacturers to cap the cost of their asthma inhalers for many patients at $35 a month. That's it.
Yeah.
A Wall Street Journal poll has former President Trump ahead of President Biden in 6 of the nation's most competitive states. So Trump, according to this poll, leading in 6 of 7 battleground states polled for the 2024 presidential contest, with voters continuing to express grave doubts about both candidates who are also the oldest to run in history. In Pennsylvania, Michigan, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, North Carolina, Trump ahead between 2 and 8 percentage points, according to this Wall Street Journal poll. It's a test ballot they gave people that does include third-party and independent candidates. Wisconsin is the 7th key battleground state polled, and there Biden is leading by 3 points. So,
I hate how people are like, oh, they're treating Biden and Trump as if another presidency for either is the same, right? Give me a friggin' break. There is a huge difference if Trump gets reelected versus Biden getting reelected. And people that don't see that are just, they drank the Kool-Aid, the MAGA Kool-Aid way too much. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of Trump, he is suing the co-founders of his social media platform, Truth Social. Trump alleges executives Wes Moss and Andy Litinsky mismanaged the platform and are therefore not entitled to their stock shares in the company. I want it all for myself, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. He wants all the money.
Yeah. Moss and Litinsky pitched the idea of Truth Social to Trump after he was banned from Twitter and after the January 6th riot at the Capitol. Trump's lawsuit comes a month after Moss and Litinsky sued Trump's company, claiming he was trying to dilute their stock shares. I mean, here's the guys that came to him with the idea. And he turns around and sues them. I wonder if there were Trump supporters before and after working with him and seeing how he does business, how they've changed their mind.
Well, I mean, they sued him before because of what you just mentioned, diluting the shares. I saw it right here. Hold on. So Trump was trying to dilute their shares by increasing the total number, get this, the total number of authorized shares in the firm from 120 million to 1 billion. I mean, that would make them worthless. I mean, to increase it that much. So yeah, again, every time you do business with Trump, you're likely getting screwed. And yet people don't understand that. It's like documented. He's historically done this to people. Getting into bed with Trump, you come out with like some sort of STD. It's terrible.
Speaking of which, a Washington state man who was found guilty for actions during the January 6th Capitol riot is heading to prison for more than 7 years. 40-year-old Taylor Jonatakis, it's a very complicated last name, of Kingston, was accused of using a megaphone to coordinate an attack on police using metal bike racks. Prior to the attack, Jonatakis posted on social media that he was going to the Capitol to change history and called to burn down the city. The 2 co-defendants were previously sentenced. He joins more than 1,300 people who have been charged for their actions in the Capitol. People, by the way, who Trump calls, what do he calls
hostages?
them? Hostages. The
yeah,
hostages.
Give me a friggin' break.
Yeah, okay.
Stupid.
California gas prices continue to go up. Statewide, the average is $5.15 a gallon. In Los Angeles, it's more expensive at $5.18. San Diego, up for the 16th day in a row at $5.17, 36 cents higher than a year ago. Nationally, people are paying $3.54.
Yeah, I mean, I think I could still get it for $4.69. I think I need to fill up today, so I'm pretty low. I did a lot of driving yesterday, so. Are you under 5? Can you find it under 5 in Petaluma? Oh, you can't at all? Even if you drive? Oh, wow. I hope, now that I've said it, hopefully I can.
It's always cheaper in San Jose than it is in Petaluma. We have high gas prices here.
Well, and you also don't like gas stations, right? You're done having gas stations?
Well, we have a ban on any new gas stations.
Exactly.
Which is fine because we have a boatload of gas stations already, so.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we have a lot of competition. So there's like a lot of no name. Not not an Arco, not an Exxon. We have a lot of non-brand name gas stations, and those are usually the cheapest. So,
Spotify users will see another price jump this year.
Oh shoot!
According to a report from Bloomberg, the outlet says the music streaming service plans to raise the price for individual subscription plans by $1, $2 for duos and family subscribers later this year. Spotify last raised monthly subscription prices to about $11 for individuals and $17 for families last July. So
wait, how much was the individual?
Individual was $11.
Is that how much I'm paying?
Family is $17, and those prices will rise.
So we don't. So. Because I'm cheap. We don't do the family. So what happens is I got Spotify for my daughter. And so then if I'm at the gym and I want to use it, we'll battle. So all of a sudden, if I play, like she'll be listening to something at school, like during lunch, because they can listen to music. And then all of a sudden I'll put on, I don't know, like Motley Crue because I'm working out at the gym or something. She'll text me. She's like, get off the Spotify. And I'm like, who's paying for the Spotify? And she's like, I want to listen to music in class. And I'm like, oh. So we just kind of battle because if you have an individual plan, we're both signed into it. So who's ever playing it gets to kind of play DJ. It's funny.
That's funny. There's a bizarre and dangerous thing going on in Miami where a man has climbed a cell phone tower and won't come down.
Oh.
First responders are there at the cell phone tower where this man impersonated a T-Mobile worker apparently to climb to the top of it. He was reported to be talking about God on the way up. He's been tinkering with the cables up there, they say. The Miami Fire Rescue and police are trying to communicate with him. He's in his 50s. They're trying to talk him down, but yeah.
Just here's my message. You cannot fly and God is not going to save you.
No.
Gravity exists. So all those things are true.
Here's a job for you I have. Ready? The world-famous Rockettes are holding open auditions.
Nice.
Starting today at Radio City Music Hall. If you think you've got what it takes to be a Rockette, here's your chance, Nikki Medoro.
Okay. Yeah, right. I'm too short. But
they're looking for excellent dancers 18 and older who are proficient in jazz, ballet, and tap, who can learn complicated choreography quickly. There is a height requirement. You have to be between 5'5" to 5'10" and a half inches tall.
Interesting. 5'5" seems short.
to 5'10". 5'5" to 5'10" and a half.
Okay. Yeah, because it's all about that look. You know what I mean? So they all and it's no problem. I mean, obviously I'm way too short for it, but you can only kick your legs so high to have that look, right?
Yeah.
So all the legs have to go. And then I did tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical. I did it all when I was growing up, believe me. And so I understand that whole look. And when it's on point, it looks, Murphy knows, it looks so freaking good. So, I'm too short. That's how God made me. I'm perfect the way I am. Whatever.
The Rockettes are the longest-running precision dance troupe in America, doing their high kicks in the legendary Christmas Spectacular at Radio City and the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. The Petaluma High School band just met the Rockettes. They have one Rockette. Cool. You got to have your picture taken with a Rockette. And the only person who's missing from the picture, because they did individual shots with the Rockette, is Julia. And I'm like, where's your Rockette picture? And she goes, I don't need my picture taken with a Rockette. I'm like, okay.
Why?
I don't know. She didn't really want the Rockette shot.
Just get it. It's just what if the Rockette ceased to exist tomorrow, Julia? Now you met him, but there's no proof. Whatever.
That's right. Hula Steph says, just in case you get defunded for the F word, here's a bit for lifting up my morning.
Did I fully say it? I don't know.
Yeah, you did. You said it. Yeah, it was
involuntary. Oh, and by the
way, that was as you were getting out of the chair, I believe the F word came out. And Spencer, thank you for the $5 super sticker.
Spencer. In case you guys didn't realize, and I know Kim knows this as well, I completely failed on my effort to stop cussing for Lent, by the way. My husband brought that up to me the other day. He's like, you stopped trying. And I was like, oh yeah, I realized I can't do it. And so I just stopped doing it. I was terrible. I'm terrible. It doesn't matter that it's Lent. I should cuss less, but yeah. Teacher's like, you yelled it. Did I? I was scared. It involuntarily came out. I thought I kind of like muffled it a little bit, but okay, sorry.
That's when I knew things were getting serious over there. I'm like, oh.
It wasn't me leaping out of my chair. I'm surprised this would have been really embarrassing if my background would have fallen. You see all my laundry behind me. But yeah, no. It was scary. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
The news. This report is sponsored by you and the
sponsored.
Rockettes. Get your kick high up there.
Yes,
find us at thenickymadoroshow.com, thenickymadoroshow.com. The Patreon link is there. The PayPal link is there. If I could just ask you to click the like button too, that would be really cool.
And subscribe and the bell and all that, guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So thank you for all the ways that you support the show. Again, thenickymadoroshow.com is the website. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Maduro Show.
All right, let's talk about some sports as we wrap up this show today. So there's a couple of Oakland stories. Well, there's one Oakland story. Then there's another California minor league story that I want to kind of get into. So the Oakland A's are being accused, and I wouldn't freaking put it past them. They're being accused of punishing their own players for supporting the anti-ownership, sell the team movement. Okay. Mm-hmm. So after recent roster moves by the Oakland A's, many are convinced the team is punishing specific players for supporting calls for ownership to sell the team. So I want to show you this Twitter post because it does a much better job. I don't know how to pronounce this gentleman's first. I don't know how to pronounce any of these people's names. So just forgive me if I butcher it to death. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. So here's the post on X. And it says, here's a hilarious MLB conspiracy theory for you. Last Dive Bar is an online store that describes itself as a premier online store for unique and stylish apparel that celebrates the iconic Oakland Coliseum. If you go to the website, you'll see their apparel seems to have a central theme. Their homepage features shirts and hoodies that read boycott and sell the team. There's also a shirt depicting A's owner John Fisher playing with a puppet that resembles A's president Dave Cavill. Last Dive Bar hosts a yearly fans fest that is openly anti-ownership. Now the fun part. Their Twitter account tweeted pictures of 4 A's players wearing their wristbands, as you can see there. I'm going to say Estuary Ruiz was demoted. Brent Rooker was benched. Christian Pach, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, was traded. Mm-hmm. And James Caprillion was released. And all of these people, I'll bring the pictures up, are wearing the wristbands that say sell the team. And I think 2 of them are some of their best players. Now, here's my question to you. Obviously, the A's ownership can do whatever the hell they want with their players. That's the joy of owning the team. But don't you think that it shoots themselves in the foot by getting rid of the good players when you're trying to make yourself attractive to this move to Vegas?
So think back. Well, you still work at a radio station, but think back to prior radio station, right? KGO.
Okay. Yeah.
If we had come on the air every day and said something negative about our employer, right? Cumulus is the worst. Or Lee Hammer sucks, which you don't Lee Hammer. But if we had, right, they would have gotten rid of us. That would have been it. Because you're sitting there bad-mouthing your employer.
Your boss. Exactly.
That's what those players are doing. They're bad-mouthing their employer.
Yeah.
Right? And so I get it, even though you think, well, people should be able to have their opinion. But you're
freedom
biting the
hand.
Speech. You're biting the hand that feeds you. You're getting the money from the team, and meanwhile, you're turning around and bad-mouthing the team.
Yeah.
So I get it.
Like getting rid of your best players is what gets to me, and that's what people were saying even before this was happening. It's that the A's were charging more for tickets. getting rid of good players. So they sucked, basically, right? They weren't very good. They were harming the product. But normally in good business, you want to have a good product if you're selling it to other cities. John Fisher seems, let's make this team as crappy as possible and then move to Vegas and then what? Spend a boatload of money hiring new players? I don't know what the thinking is there. And yeah, Mars agrees with you. You can't bite the hand that feeds you. A's are just a transitory spot for players anyway. Eric says, well, when you disparage the owners, you're going to get punished.
Yep.
And Doug says it's possible for the A's to renegotiate a deal with the San Jose to move them here. San Jose, that's been debated for years. Apparently they have territorial rights with the Giants. That's been decided. I don't understand that nonsense, but whatever. Rand makes a good point. Kaepernick couldn't express himself, and he didn't even badmouth his employer, right? He didn't talk bad about it. He talked bad about the country, and people were all up in arms.
Well, I mean, in that case, he just went against what his employer was thinking, right? Because the employer said, don't take a knee, don't protest. And he's like, no, I'm taking a knee, I'm going to protest. And so that in that case, just going against your employer was enough to toss him out. And now he never recovered. I mean, he's never been back to football since.
He's tried many times, but it's never going to happen. You know, and then the whole A's Coliseum, the Coliseum complex nonsense where they're trying to negotiate. I guess maybe I'm like that scorned lover. I look at Oakland, I'm like, tell the A's to kick frickin' rocks. Go figure out where to play. You are not playing in the Coliseum. I know the economy, the jobs. There's protests. People are doing the reverse boycott, all sorts of things. I wouldn't want John Fisher to step one foot after this lease is up. And they want to extend the lease for 5 years, maybe 2 years. They're very far apart on how much it's going to be. I think it's like $97 to $17 million, 2 to 5 years, all that sorts of stuff. It's just really sad. I know that there's probably in the back of Shang Tao's mind this hope that in some way the A's won't leave. I could not continue working with John Fisher after this. I just don't see how it's even possible anymore.
Well, and I mean, maybe that's why the people wore the bracelets. They were like, we don't care. We know that doing this is going to end in our departure from this team. So we'd rather just speak our mind while we can and say, we're with you, fans. Here's the bracelet, and let the chips fall, right?
Okay, from the major leagues to the minor leagues, there's the Fresno Grizzlies. It's a minor league affiliate of the Colorado Rockies. They are facing a discrimination lawsuit, okay? And okay, let me just give you the details because I'm kind of like, okay. So they had a ladies' night promotion, okay? Where on March 25th of 2023, female fans were allowed into the ballpark for free while men and quote-unquote non-binary persons needed to pay to get into the park. The male plaintiff in the lawsuit, Harry Crouch, said he paid $18 to get into the stadium, while the female plaintiff, Christine Johnson, so it's both a man and woman suing, was able to get into the game for free. This is what they say, the Fresno Grizzlies' ill-conceived ladies' night promotion seemingly sexualized female fans by treating them as little more than sexual bait in order to attract men to buy tickets to the game. In doing so, the Grizzlies' male-dominated front office managed to pull off a rare trifecta of sex discrimination, misogyny, exorcism, and misandry all at once by treating female, non-binary, and male fans unequally based solely on their gender. Kevin Little is an attorney based in Fresno, said any organization that holds similar events runs the risk of violating the UNRRA Act, which provides protection from discrimination by all businesses, establishments in California based on national origin, race, religion, orientation, things like that. The Grizzlies have not responded, blah, blah, blah. Here's my question. One, do you think that it's sexist? Do you think that this kind of promotion should be allowed? Go. Because bars do it, right? Like we've heard of ladies' nights before where ladies get in free and usually it's nightclubs because they want to bring men because then it'll be like a sausage fest and nobody wants that. So, I get the idea, but if it's a sports team or a ballpark, is that different?
I think we've come to the place where you can't do anything. You can't single out anyone. You can't have a ladies' night. You can't have Italian Day, right? The Giants have Italian night or whatever. You can't have any night that singles out or makes anyone more interesting or celebrates anyone over someone else, or someone's going to complain about it. Everyone's so sensitive about every living thing.
Yeah. This is what I was going to say. Okay. And apparently it's called unruh. Thank you, Phineas. Let's just go down, make up an outcome that didn't actually happen, at least not according to this article I read.
Sure.
If there was a ladies' night promotion at the ballpark and men got too rowdy, people were overserved, and women got assaulted, something bad happened, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. But if a business is trying to attract and could prove, let's say that they didn't have a lot of women going to these ball games, okay? And you're trying to attract a demographic to increase your profits, what's wrong with that? And I'll add this caveat. What about, restaurants that say kids eat free? What about ballparks that have kids get to watch the game for free night? Is that ageist? Right? If we're going to go down this road of discrimination, is any sort of deal for one group that's not given to another discrimination? Yep. I would say, there could be an argument for both. I just don't know if this is like a sexual bait thing unless you can prove that women were targeted by the men that were at the ballpark. I think they were just being invited in order to boost. Well, I guess, obviously the revenue would come from not the ticket sales, but for hopefully more people going in general. Right. And more beers being bought, more hot dogs being bought, things like that. So I don't know. Calvin says ladies' night at bars isn't legal anymore. I think it is. I think it is too. I think it was. I think it is. And the kids eat free. That was the first thing I thought of. How many restaurants do kids eat free on Tuesdays or whatever? Mm-hmm. If I walked in there as a 40-something-year-old woman and was like, I want to eat for free. Why can't I eat for free?
You're discriminating against me.
I'm almost as tall. Like, I'm the same height. I probably have the same size stomach. There are some kids that are going to eat a hell of a lot more than I'm going to eat, right? Like, why don't I get the deal?
Right.
Yeah. Doug says, I'm not touching this with a 10-foot pole. Nikki's right. John says, I guess that's cool. And the gang song Ladies' Night is sexist. It's just really an odd thing to sue over, right?
Really weird.
It seems weird to me. Unless something bad happened.
No, we can't. Yeah. We can't have nice things. We can't do anything. Gone are the days of old.
Sandy says, if I go to a restaurant and there's a kids eat free sign, I turn around and I walk out. Yeah. I just feel like live and let live. If there was a crime that was committed, fine. But I think that this is a bit much. I bet that man and that woman sat together at the thing, came up with this whole idea and decided to sue over it. Right. I just feel like that happened.
I have some footage of the earthquake in Taiwan I want to show you. Can I do that?
Please do.
Yeah. I don't necessarily want to have sound, but let's just together, if we could, watch. Okay. This is going down a roadway. Now, a lot of times you're driving and you don't even realize there's an earthquake. Well, you'd know magnitude 7.4. Look at the way that bus is bouncing around.
And those cars.
Check out this guy in the swimming pool.
Oh, no.
I mean, the water sloshing around to and fro.
Okay.
Is that crazy?
What do you do there? I mean, I guess you have to stay in the water.
Stay in the water. I look in the TV stations. I'm looking at all the lights swinging around up above.
God.
I mean, if you're below that, I'm thinking get to safety. Those things could come down in a real hurry.
Get under a desk very quickly. Right. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And there's always that anchor that's like, I think we're having an earthquake. Nope, we're definitely having an earthquake. Definitely. Okay, we're going to go under our desk right now, and we'll see you on the flip side. No, this is not a spider. That would be the danger of me doing TV news. I'm just telling you what happened with the spider probably would have happened if I was stuck in a 7.4 magnitude earthquake in Taiwan. I'm just saying.
I saw earlier that Jim Liu was saying that he has family in Taiwan.
Oh, I hope they're okay.
So they are. He said his family is shaken, but healthy, mostly unaffected physically. People are still going to work there, he said. So
yeah, it's always crazy though. Isn't it weird, after a major disaster like that other people are like, okay, well, got to go to school.
Right.
It's like there's, all this devastation and death. I mean, obviously people lost their lives tragically in this earthquake. And now it's like, okay, but badminton must go on. PE must go on,
Yeah,
Life
it's
must
true.
continue. What time is your daughter? If anyone doesn't know, Petaluma High, where Kim's daughter went, had a mentally ill woman hurt herself on campus. There was blood involved, all sorts of things. And she has, Julia has used her smarts to get out of PE apparently today, because even though she didn't see it, she's traumatized by it too much.
I can't go to PE today and be in the same gym where that lady hurt herself.
I mean, is it the same as like buying a house where a tragedy happened? Is it the same, Julia?
And like, you seemed to be okay yesterday telling the story.
Right. Exactly.
Now today you're using it to get out of going to
She
PE.
was able to sleep on it. She's like, how do I make this work in my favor? Well, David's letting her off, so
I
there
know.
you go. That's a good
I'm like,
dad.
He goes,
though.
I'm
He's
picking her up at 1. I'm like, you really? You fell for that? You fell for that?
Moms are so harsh. We're like, and no.
If you were in the class and saw it happen,
right,
then maybe you might need to go to a visit with a counselor or whatever, but
Yeah.
you weren't there. You didn't see it happen.
Exactly.
Go to
Exactly.
PE,
Exactly.
please.
I mean, please. I completely agree. All right.
Am I being insensitive?
No, you're not. I
Okay.
totally. You are speaking to a mom that almost on the daily has to convince my daughter to go to school. So, Kim,
Natalie.
don't be a snowflake. Kim's Marine husband, my poor baby.
Exactly.
Do you think he would have the same reaction if they were at the same age grade if it was Jacob?
Oh, that's interesting.
Because it's his baby girl.
Don't know.
You know?
He probably would say to Jacob, "What?
Suck it
What
up,
do you?"
buttercup.
Yeah.
See, isn't that so sexist?
Oh, it totally is. And
But
whereas
it's also
Jacob's
heartwarming.
littler,
Yeah.
and I've been the one worried about his reaction to all of it, right? He's
Right.
thinking about it and rolling it around in his mind, and he's not really
Right.
mature enough to make heads or tails of it.
Yeah, that's
so
interesting.
doesn't even go to the school, and I'm more concerned about him. Anyway.
Yeah, but he'll be fine. I mean, honestly, with the amount of news and what access they have to the news, the fact if my kid was in that gym, my kid would be going to counseling at the school today. Absolutely. I
Yeah.
might even let my kids stay home. If you were
Right.
there and saw it happen, absolutely. But
Right.
hearing about it and milking it, in my opinion, my motherly opinion, no. If badminton can go on the night of, you can go to PE
You can do
today.
PE.
Okay. It's been cleansed by other people. So just go ahead. So
She was supposed to run a mile today, too.
Oh, that's
I mean, she's
exactly-
really getting out of it.
That's totally why she didn't want to do it.
This
My
is
daughter
making
hates
up from New York, right? She's got to make up for New York.
Oh,
She's
that
supposed to
is
run a mile by herself. Now she gets out of that. I'm telling you.
That is exactly why she didn't want to go.
Yep.
Give me a friggin' I love children. Okay, let's make our announcement, Kim. So
Okay.
I love all of you guys here. Kim loves everybody here. But the show is not going away. I don't want to scare anybody, right, Kim? The show is
No.
not going away.
We're still doing it.
The formatting and the length of the show is going to start to change. And did we decide next week?
Yeah.
Next week. More details are going to be coming. Kim and I are having a conversation. It's just with my job in San Francisco that I'm constantly filling in for, the fact that I am looking for a substitute teaching job and figuring out my next path. Kim with the After Party Live doing it solo in addition to the Mark Thompson show. We just felt it was fair to kind of reimagine this show and how it's done. So I don't want you guys to be freaking out when you join the show sometime next week and it's different and it looks different and the length is different. We are still going to have content and you're still going to be able to communicate and participate in the community that we have so lovingly formed here. Don't freak out, Mars. Just don't. And you know what? I'm glad that Mindy brought this up. The thing that I think Kim and I both agree on is we like doing the show together. Okay.
we
Now,
do.
while I love the fact that Kim steps in when I'm in San Francisco or I'm out of town or whatever, I like hanging out with Kim and laughing and having
Yeah.
F moments and all these sorts of things together. And so we want to keep that going. And so this is the way the change that's coming is in order to keep that going, because I think that's what everybody comes here to see, in addition to the community also in the chat. So we just want to kind of give you guys a heads up, prepare, but also still provide content and still have our community here. So we just appreciate you guys. We love you guys. I will be here tomorrow. Kim's going to be here live tomorrow. The show's going to be here tomorrow. Don't worry. I am then going to Vegas for a while. And then next week, we're going to figure out some changes. So keep it tuned here. It's going to make sure also, you guys, it's so important to click that bell. Okay. Click the bell because then you're notified when we put up new content. But I promise you, there will be new content. We will still have the community. It's just going to look a little bit differently and the length is going to be a bit different. So I just wanted to let you guys know.
And I mean, we kind of knew that it would come to a point where you try to make something work in its current form.
Yes.
But eventually, if you're, we have to get jobs, right? We have to support the family.
I love this show and I love it. But and again, all of you guys are so generous. Like, let's just give our thank yous while we're talking about this.
Yeah.
Louise came in with like $10, two $5 donations. Hula Steph came in with $10 in case I get defunded for the F word. Spencer with $5. Joe, thank you so much for the $20.
Wow.
Jim with the F it and a $5 donation. Like, we appreciate all of this.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we live in the Bay, right?
Yep.
If we didn't live in the Bay Area, you guys, like, we could do it and it'd be no problem. But we live in the Bay, and the truth of the matter is, I need to get a job in addition to this, but I don't want to give this up, and Kim doesn't want to give it up. So we are going to make it work. It's just going to look differently, and I hope you guys still support the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and we'll figure it out along the way. We had talked about maybe going down to doing the show twice a week.
Right.
We had talked about, doing different things, but I think we're going to try to at least provide some content Monday through Friday still.
Right. Exactly.
So,
and I think that's what people have come to expect from us.
Yeah.
And it's going to give us a chance to still weigh in on, the serious topics to the silly topics, because I think, different from Mark's show and definitely from the After Party Live, we give all sorts of content here. And Ms. Organic bet on black in Vegas. Thank you. Just on a little side note real quickly, I've been following this guy on TikTok that's giving roulette tips on how to make money. And so I might have to, I'll do a video if I do that.
The worst odds in Vegas?
Yeah, but this is, he tells you what to put it on to increase your chances better than 50-50, like red or black or whatever. But anyways, I'm not much of a gambler. I'm going to ride bicycles with my husband and my friends. So it's going to be great. But again, there's going to be content. I don't want you guys to think that there's not going to be.
Mindy's like...
I always wonder what kind of other job Kim would want to do for money. Ooh.
Mindy knows I have no other skill. No, there's nothing else I could possibly do.
She does. And again, and I know we're running out of time, but we talked about this when KGO ended, and it was kind of this identity crisis that both Kim and I have faced. And the reason I'm looking into education is because every time I talk about education, I'm very passionate about it. And I think that that's what I want to do, is something that I'm passionate about. And whether it's substitute teaching that gives me flexibility to still do this show and KCBS and whatever, it is what it is. But I love you guys. It's still going to be here. The community is still going to be here. The show, you guys will be able to watch it. It's still going to be there. So stay tuned. We're still going to be here. And, we'll still have the best ending to the show there ever is. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. I love you all. Stay here for the Mark Thompson Show and the After Party Live. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.